Good day, everybody. I will call the meeting to order at 3:30. Members of the public are invited to participate in this meeting of the Committee of Adjustments by attending the meeting in person at the municipal office located at 10227 Ilderton Road, Ilderton. And the postal code is NOM2AO. Members of the public may also access the meeting, which will be live streamed on our Middlesex Center YouTube channel or by contacting the municipal deputy clerk to receive a registration link to join the meeting electronically. Members of the public wishing to appear as a delegation can register for the meeting by visiting middlesexcenter.ca participating-council-meetings or by contacting the municipal deputy clerk at 519-666-0190 by 4:30 on the Monday of the week of the scheduled meeting. All requests to delegate are subject to the provision of the Middlesex Center Committee of Adjustment Procedure Bylaw. Members of the public can choose to delegate in person or by electronic participation. Accessible formats and communication support are available upon request. So there are no additions to the agenda to note, and the disclosure of pecuniary interest. Read this? We didn't have to. Okay. Does anyone have any disclosures of pecuniary interest? No? Okay, all is good. So next we have a motion that the minutes of the September 17th, 2025 Committee of Adjustment meeting be adopted as printed. Can I have a mover and a seconder? Wayne and Hugh, all in favor? And that's carried. Okay, so the first item up is application for minor variance A 24-2025 for 22423 Jeffries Road in Kilworth. Dan Fitzgerald is the manager of planning for Middlesex County, is in attendance to provide an overview of the planning report. Read them all. Nope. Okay. Dan, if you'd like to go ahead, please.
Yeah, through the chair. Thanks, members of the committee. So just as a note, so the application in this particular case is with respect to permission seeking for the construction of a monopole, which is a radio frequency tower within the northeastern corner of the subject parcel. So as you can kind of see here on this attachment on the screen, it is marked kind of in the top, I guess in this case, top right-hand corner. With an X, and that is the proposed location of a tower closer to Glendon Drive. So the tower would be approximately 35 meters in height, and it is intended to be a co-location structure where multiple telecommunication providers are to place infrastructure. So as per the proposal, the tower and the associated equipment are approximately 130 meters to the nearest residential zone, which is located on Dosset Drive. The applicant has previously conducted a public consultation utilizing the Innovation, Science and Economic Development Canada, or ISED protocol. One response was received through that circulation, and that response was in support of the proposed increase to levels of service within the area. The municipality did issue a letter of concurrence following the required consultation, which was conditional on zoning compliance. So why we're here today. As such, the applicant has applied for the minor variance, and that includes two reasons. So the first being that the tower infrastructure is located 130 meters from the closest residential zone, whereas the bylaw requires a minimum distance of 150 meters. And the tower is on a lot with a minimum lot area of 1.22 hectares, whereas the bylaw requires a minimum parcel size of 2 hectares. So upon receipt of this particular application, staff did research the proposal and the required setbacks in the bylaw. It is noted that approval of the radio communication tower is not within the jurisdiction of a local authority, but rather the approval occurs at the federal government level. Staff have reviewed the proposed minor variance through the four tests of the Planning Act, noting that Innovation Science Economic Development Canada, again, is the approval authority in this case. So as identified in the proposal, the applicant has demonstrated that they do not exceed Health Canada Safety Code 6 guidelines for radio frequency emissions within the area. From the variance perspective, the proposed tower is considered a public utility, which is a permitted use in all zones. The proposed location within an existing landscaped boulevard does not detract from the existing uses that are currently contained on site, and it does not impact the existing parking within the commercial structure. Additionally, it is noted that the tower location exceeds 154 meters to the nearest wall of the closest residence. So prior to submission of the report, staff had received one public comment, which was in opposition to the proposed location of the tower. There was concerns cited with the potential impacts to health in this case. Staff have also since received similar public comments, which have been forwarded to the committee and will formulate part of the public record. I note that staff also received a petition of concerned residents regarding the proposed tower location, which has been forwarded to the committee in advance of the meeting here today. So in review of the proposal, I reviewed the location solely based on the four tests of the Planning Act. It is our understanding that the consultation protocol does not permit our local decision-making authorities to essentially question standards that are established by our higher levels of government, such as the health impacts in this particular case. So as indicated in the report, I am of the opinion that the proposed minor variance is considered minor in nature, and as such recommend approval of the minor variance application. Thank you.
Oh, that's me. Thank you, Dan. And now we have Audrey Barella in person and Nilo Nazat virtually. The applicants will be in attendance to provide a presentation regarding the application. If you'd like to come up here and push your button.
Is this working? My apologies. Thank you very much. Do we have the slides available? Great. Thank you. Good afternoon. Thank you for your time this afternoon here to discuss the request for minor variance. My name is Audrey Barella. I'm a planning coordinator at Shared Tower, and I'm here to discuss who we are, what we do, and why the location for this tower is critical. So we can go to the next. Thank you. So Shared Tower is a carrier-neutral infrastructure company, meaning that we are not a carrier, but we design and build infrastructure that all carriers in Canada can locate their equipment on. As we know, carriers don't always like to share and can be territorial with their coverage, and this forces them to play a little bit more fair. We are backed by all major carriers, and we've developed over 1,500 sites across the country. So just as a reminder that telecommunication towers are federally regulated. So municipal and provincial legislation such as the Planning Act, Heritage Act, and Building Code are not applicable to towers. However, we must fulfill other important obligations such as NAV Canada and Transport Canada, aeronautical safety analysis and facility notification, and of course, compliance with Safety Code 6, as we will discuss more in a moment. So wireless technology, our telecommunication towers are essentially the visible infrastructure of the invisible world of digital technology. It is texting, calling, streaming, things we're all familiar with, but it is also things that we might not see all the time, like a family buying groceries at the grocery store using the POS system, or in emergency cases such as EMS response or remote patient monitoring, glucose monitoring, ECK monitoring as well. These are all important parts and essential services that are brought through the use of telecommunication towers. When there are gaps in the network, like there are in Kilworth, this coverage is reduced and connectivity risks are present. especially in developing areas where population is growing. And due to these gaps, we have identified that Kilworth is in need of increased connectivity. So a bit more about Health Canada Safety Code 6. So again, this is a federal regulation. This is scientific based off of a weight of evidence. So this is not influenced by socio-political policies like there are other places. So this is based off of weight of evidence, and it has established a threshold for adverse health effects. There is a 50 times safety margin built in as well. And you can see on that pale yellow dot that that is where our tower is. So we are 20% at 100% capacity. At worst case scenario, we are 20% of the allowable limit, which already has that 50 times safety buffer built in. I know a question was raised about the engineer for this has a Quebec stamp. I have confirmed that they have an Ontario stamp as well, and we will be able to provide that Monday. About the subject site in particular. So again, this is a 35-meter monopole located at 22425 Jeffreys Road. It is a commercial plaza. It is 2.79 acres and 130 meters from the residential area. And as noted, it is greater than 150 meters from the wall of the nearest residence. This is a site rendering of what it will look like from Jeffreys Road and a site rendering on what it will look from Glendon Drive. So again, we have completed public consultation and did receive a conditional letter of concurrence. So that included sending an information package to all recipients within the prescribed notification radius, as well as an advertisement in the Middlesex banner. And 35 days was provided for relevant comment, and 30 days is the federal protocol. So this is why this map outlines exactly why this space is so critical. So typically in rural areas, if it's just farmland, we don't like to have towers further than 5 kilometers apart. And that's when there's not very dense residential areas. So in this case, we're experiencing such poor connectivity because the nearest 2 towers covering this area are 6.18 kilometers apart, which is a substantial gap. And because the nearest tower to our proposed site is 2.88 kilometers away, it is not suitable for co-location and would not cover this area. So we took 2 years to try to find a suitable area for the telecommunication tower. In total, we explored 28 land opportunities. These red pins here show all of the landowners that were not interested, and the white pins indicate where there was no response or no contact information. Of the 28 prospects, only 7 led to further conversation, and 6 were ultimately eliminated for either environmental, municipal, or land use availability or carrier issues. So that leads us with our best case scenario, which is what we are here for today, the lot size. So as mentioned, we do not meet the minimum lot size or the setback requirements. However, the spirit of the law, we do, the landowner of our subject parcel also owns a parcel to the north. Both of those parcels have the same zoning and the same use. Both are commercial plazas. And even though they are separate parcels, they have the same landowner, same use, and is a combined total acreage of 6.25. And though we are 130 meters from the residential zone, we are 152 meters from the nearest actual residence. So to conclude, concurrence was previously granted in July. Existing service issues will be exacerbated by population growth. You know, I drove past a couple proposed housing developments on my way here. And the subject site most closely suits the municipality's interest as well as carrier needs. So we are respectfully requesting a minor variance. Thank you for your time. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Okay, thank you. Do we have, we'll come back to questions after.
Sure.
Do we have, does Nilo want to say anything?
Is he online?
No, yeah, I'm gonna get to, yeah, but here I've got Audrey and Nilo. So Nilo's just watching. Do they have something they want to say?
I don't think they have a further presentation, more for answering questions.
Okay.
Good afternoon. My apologies. I was just watching it as an observer and I wasn't able to join
with video and audio. I don't have anything further to add to supplement my colleagues' comments on the presentation.
Okay.
Happy to answer questions.
Okay, thank you. And then what about Chelsea Hamill? Do you have anything that you'd like to add?
Yeah, I had signed up to just kind of introduce the community petition that was submitted prior to the meeting. Would it be appropriate to do that now?
Sure, you can go ahead. Yep.
Okay, awesome. Well, my name is Chelsea Hamill. I'm a proud member of the Kilworth community. I live quite close to the proposed site. Thank you so much for the presentation. Today, I just wanted to present a community petition that was submitted. You can see that myself and 77 other concerned community members have signed this petition. I spent a great deal of time canvassing the sites closest and the neighbors closest to the proposal site. So you can see there's 77 signatures, but to be quite honest, if I had more time, I think this is kind of the tip of the iceberg in terms of community concern for this site, for the cell phone tower on Jeffreys Road. If you've reviewed the petition that is attached to the agenda for today, obviously we cite the 2 bylaw exceptions that have to be granted in order for the minor variance to be approved. Obviously, as you mentioned, the site parcel is too small according to bylaw in terms of regular regulations, as well as most concerning, it's only 130 meters, so a 20-meter difference for the normal bylaw to the closest residence. In addition, our concerns stem from the midwife office that is also a lot closer than the residential area to the proposed site, as well as the local daycare that's quite close to the proposed site. So if you look at the petition, we cite our objections as actually disagreeing with Dan. We don't believe that this is a desirable or appropriate use of this parcel of land. Jeffreys Road is a gateway to our community. And this type of industrial structure could have adverse effects on our property values. And it's definitely, just not the best representation heading into our thriving residential neighborhood. In addition, it could negatively impact our property values, like I said, and overall community enjoyment. We did cite that even perceived health concerns, I know we talked about the studies already during the meeting, but even perceived health concerns could negatively impact the neighborhood, even though this one has technically been proven safe. That's also a concern on a lot of community members' minds. In addition, this bylaw exception to be closer to a normal residential area than normal, like I said, could have health effects. I would also argue or add to the petition that this, in my mind, is not a minor variance. Minor variance to me is a garden shed that's a couple inches too wide. This is a major industrial structure in the heart of a thriving residential area. So I think it's a lot greater than a normal minor variance to be classified that way. I think that approving this minor variance sets a dangerous precedent, not only disregarding the many community members who have concerns about it, as well as just eroding the community enjoyment of our thriving residential area. So for these reasons, I'd hope you take this petition into consideration. Like I said, about 78 signatures, but there's a lot of other folks in the area that have some pretty serious concerns with this structure. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Chelsea. Is there anyone else that would like to speak? You can come up and we'll trade you spots for a minute. If you want to come up and have a seat and introduce yourself and your address, your name and address. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Mark Elliott, and I'm in that residential picture that they showed right around the corner from the proposed structure. And like Audrey, I suppose I have an agenda here. I'm Chelsea's next door neighbor. I'm against this variance because I don't think it's minor at all. My son's had 2 liver transplants and is immunosuppressed, like many in the community. And you don't have to read very much where they warn you. You can't even use one of the issues to deal with cell phone towers. Just stay inside. That's not an option. Okay. And so I think Chelsea used the word circumstantial. I think it's perhaps unproven to some that the radiation is an issue. you only need to walk to one of these towers. There's literally warning stickers on the towers. I understand it's 130 meters away from the residential wall, 150 from the nearest house. There are people that work literally underneath this eyesore, or proposed eyesore, sorry. I'm biased. I apologize. There's lots of them. And so they're well within the limits. Some of them are mere meters away all the time. That's probably Chelsea got most of my points. In the FCC in the US states in this document, for one, that 500 meters is what they recommend, not 150. But my main point is there's a heck of a lot of people that are literally going to be underneath this thing. And so I would ask Dan and you all, with respect to Audrey, to consider an alternate site. This is not a minor variance to us at all. Thanks for your time. I appreciate it.
Thank you very much, Mark. Is there anyone else? Did you want to speak, sir?
Well, I'm tempted to, but I'm not actually here for that issue, but after.
Oh.
Who wouldn't want to get an opinion?
Okay.
But
All
I
right.
was submitting.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Thank you. And members of council? Okay, Frank?
Just one question. I know where it's going to go. I'm familiar with the area. What's the diameter of the pole? How wide is it?
I would have to check the site plans specifically, but they're fairly narrow. We can bring up the renderings of it if that would help. And I can also, it's 35 meters. 35 meters.
Like, what's the capacity of this? 5 carriers around the upper part, or are you going to jam in more?
Depending on the elevations available, typically there's like the big 3 in Canada, right, that we are all familiar with. So we have 3 proposed cabinets. So each carrier kind of plugs in their equipment into it. So it's designed for what we have in Canada, which is those big 3.
Okay, thank you.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
You can go ahead. Please start with your name and address. Thank you.
Thank you very much. My name is Nilu Neshat. I'm with Shared Tower. I'm the head of real estate. My colleague, who is our planning manager, is there in person, Audrey Barella, and I'm at 1300 Cornwall in Oakville, which is where our offices are located. I just wanted to clarify a couple of points with respect to the diameter of the monopole, the 35-meter monopole, which is intended to accommodate as many carriers as possible, up to 3, maybe 4, really does also depend on whether we would be requested by the municipality or emergency services to be able to attach their equipment. So while we are only, designing these towers for the traditional mobile carriers to put their antenna on, that being, between 2 to 3, there will be capacity for a number of other service providers providing emergency services or radio services to be able to also attach their equipment, because their equipment is much smaller. With respect to the diameter, it would be around, I'm just looking at our engineering drawings, it would be fairly slim. It's around 36 to 40 inches. I have messaged our engineer to actually ask for the precise figure, but that's the range that I was given by the director of our construction just now. And finally, I just wanted to note that it's my position that before you there's an application for a minor variance. and that was the only condition of the letter of concurrence, which was already granted. So respectfully, I question whether this would be the appropriate forum for challenging the letter of concurrence, which was only conditional upon the variance that's being sought. Those were the only points that I wanted to raise.
Thank you. Any other members of council? Jean, you can go ahead.
A question for Audrey. Just wondering about, have you received any aesthetic concerns? Can you comment on, will there be any light coming from the pole and noise, backup generator, that
Right.
type of thing? Thank you.
During the public consultation, we only received one comment, and that was in support of the tower. So I did not receive any aesthetic concerns. The tower will be painted white, and that reflects light the easiest. So that's as less obtrusive as possible compared to galvanized poles or things that are a little bit darker that take up more space. Lighting requirements, that is up to NAV Canada and Transport Canada if there's lighting requirements for planes, of course, going overhead. So ideally, no, but then if it's a federal requirement that we must, then that's something we would comply with. But typically with smaller towers, that's not much of a concern. And then with noise, no, there's no additional noise above what the cabinet's already making.
Thank you. Wayne, go ahead, please.
Thank you. Through the chair to Audrey, just a question, like this is all new to me, these towers. What is it people are worried about them eliminating? Like what is it, radiation or like cancer causing things, microwave, like, and to follow up with that question, are they monitored regularly to make sure they aren't producing anything?
Yes. Yes, there is concern. People will bring up RF radiation. Our radio frequency, anybody that has a cell phone in their pocket is going to be receiving more RF frequencies than being 150 meters from the cell tower. It's something that there is an acceptable level and an unacceptable level of frequency. There's ionizing rays and non-ionizing rays. And in this case, this is non-ionizing. Our safety code 6 analysis takes the worst case scenario if the tower and the equipment is running at 100% capacity of 2 meters from the base of the tower. So if you're standing right beside it and you're about 2 meters tall, that's where it's measuring if it is safe, as well as the nearest rooftop, or if there's a building nearby and there's an office that's 2 stories and that's going to be adjacent to the tower, it measures from there as well. So whether there's somebody repairing on a roof nearby or someone that's parking their car near the base of the tower, that's taken into consideration into these health reports.
So are they monitored regularly then? Or once it up, that's it?
So it is audited regularly by ISED. That is something that they do as well. And in addition, we do have our safety code 6 analysis, which is from our anchor tenant, but any additional carriers will also have to file their own safety code 6 reports to the federal government to prove for their licenses that they are also safe. And that is not just taking into consideration their own equipment, but any equipment nearby. So it's compound RF energy.
Thank you. Nothing here. Okay, so my turn. All right, so I have some random things here because information keeps coming. So it's sad that we can't discuss the health impacts. I'm not in favor of this. I get it that we desperately need cell phone help in the Kilworth area. I read about that. I hear about that often. I get it. But I don't feel that this is the appropriate place for it. And to Mark's point about the businesses right there, those people, and again, we're not allowed to talk about the health impact but I'm going to say it anyways. Those people are going to sit at their desk all day long. And to add to that, they weren't even notified. So in the process of this, the building owner was notified, but it didn't get passed along to the business owners. And I don't think that that is right. Those people are going to work every day and they, unbeknownst to them, this is happening. I feel in the 4 tests of the minor variance that I feel that it's not minor in nature. You know, 4.9 acres, 2.3, like we're really close to half the size. I don't think that that's minor. And again, with the setback, you know, there's a reason why we have 150 and now we're going to make it smaller and the can't talk about the safety risks can be there. I think that you know, yes, the daycare, but all of the businesses, I think that those people have their exposure. Your map showed that you still had some spots not investigated, and so I can't help but wonder, can you go back to the drawing board and do it a little bit better? Um, um, It sounds to me, though, in this process that it's not going to matter what we do today, that this is probably going to happen because it's federally regulated. So that's my assumption today, but I am on record to say I don't find this to be a minor variance and I'm not in favor. Okay, so now we have to work on this motion that minor variance application A 24-2025 filed by Cheyenne Zierler on of Shared Tower Inc. on behalf of Peter Watmore for relief from the comprehensive zoning bylaw in order to establish a minimum lot size of 1.2 hectares. 2.77 acres and a minimum setback distance of 130 meters, 426 feet, from a residential zone for a telecommunication tower for a property legally described as Block 6, Plan M324 in the municipality of Middlesex Center, County of Middlesex, and municipally known as 22423 Jeffreys Road, be granted to a subject condition that no part of the tower shall be any closer than 130 meters to the nearest residential zone boundary, and further that the reasons for granting the minor variance application A 24-2025, the request complies with the general intent and purpose of Middlesex Center's official plan. The request complies with the general intent and purpose of Middlesex Center's comprehensive zoning bylaw. The request is minor in nature, and the request represents appropriate development on the subject property. We do it through the vote, right?
Yes.
Okay, alrighty. So I need a mover and a seconder for this motion. Hugh and Jean, sorry, Counselor Arts and Counselor Cole, sorry. So can we have a vote all in favor? All opposed? Okay, so that motion is carried. Thank you.
Thank you.
Sorry. Next up, we have an application for minor variance, A 25-2025, 6221 Egremont Drive. And Marion Francis Romas Gabriel is the Middlesex County Planner, is in attendance to provide an overview of the planning report. If you'd like to go ahead, please, Marion.
Thank you, Chair, and through you to the rest of the committee. The purpose of this staff report is to provide a recommendation to the committee with regard to a minor variance for the property located at 6221 Egremont Drive. This property is located just west of the community of Lowville and west of the intersection of Egremont Drive and Gold Creek Road. The applicant is requesting relief from the zoning bylaw as it relates to the rear yard setback and non-complying buildings on existing lots within the highway commercial zone. Specifically, the applicant is requesting to reduce the rear yard setback from 10.5 meters to 5.1 meters and permit the expansion of an existing non-complying building. The application would facilitate the extension or expansion of an existing building used for light industrial uses. So the subject land is an existing commercial lot with an area of approximately 2.3 acres and has an existing 10,000 square foot building on the property. The property is also adjacent to a rural residence that's located immediately to the east and surrounded by active agricultural lands. The lands are also designated rural commercial and zoned highway commercial or C2. So this application was circulated to agencies, area residents, and staff. To date, staff have not received any comments from area residents regarding this application, and county and municipal staff did not provide comments or provide any objections to this application. Through our review of the proposal, planning staff reviewed the application against the 4 tests of minor variance and found that the application is minor in nature. Since the proposed expansion does not represent a change in the land use, the expansion is not expected to impact agricultural uses on the surrounding lands or the nearby rural residents. The proposed expansion will make use of an existing developed area of this property and not further encroach on the agricultural lands to the rear, and represents an extension of an existing building line. As well, it's not anticipated that the expansion would generate any nuisances such as noise or traffic generation. So with the analysis provided in my staff report, I'm satisfied that the variance meets the 4 tests set out in the Planning Act and recommend that the variance be granted. Thank you.
Thank you, Marion. Do we have anyone that is that you? Is this one yours? No? Oh, sure, you can come on up there and I see the microphone's already on for you.
All right.
State your name and address.
My name is Charlie Arnott. I live at 14628 12 Mile Road. I didn't quite follow all the text and the descriptions and the previous zonings. All I see from the picture is a triangle of what looks like currently agriculturally producing land. Is that true? Am I correct in assuming that?
Typically, when you, at this stage of the game, it's not question
Oh,
answer.
I'm sorry.
That's
It
okay.
appears to me
Yeah.
that it is agriculturally produced land, and the little colored box around it kind of shows the proposal to now put buildings there. So I guess my comment is it looks like active agricultural land is being taken out of agriculture. That's all I'm going to point out. Am I missing anything? I know that's a question, but
I don't think so. If I'm not mistaken, this is where there's a shop and they want to build an addition onto the shop, and then nothing's changing.
okay.
Marion.
I just see a colored border around
Yeah,
there.
Marion will answer for us.
Yes, that is correct. So the property in its entirety is zoned for commercial uses. There is a part that is, or at least appears to be zoned, appears to be farmed from an abutting farm parcel, though I don't know if that's correct. It's just based on our aerial images. But the proposed expansion would be in an area that is not currently farmed or not used for agricultural uses.
Thank you. The triangle in question looks amazingly similar to all the other agricultural land. So I would float the idea that it is currently being used to grow agricultural crops. That's what comment I'd like to make. Thank you.
Thank you. Does any committee members have questions? Okay, so then we have that minor variance application A25 2025 filed by Risers Brothers Holdings Inc. for relief from the comprehensive zoning bylaw in order to expand a non-complying building and reduce the rear yard setback to 5.1 meters to permit a 110 square meter addition to an existing commercial building municipally addressed 6221 Egremont Drive for a property legally described as Concession 5, Part Lot 11, RP 33R 2882, Part 3, Geographic Township of Lobel in the municipality of Middlesex Center, County of Middlesex be granted. And further, that the reasons for granting the minor variance A25-2025, the request complies with the general intent and purpose of Middlesex Center's official plan. The request complies with the general intent and purpose of Middlesex Center's comprehensive zoning bylaw. The request is minor in nature, and the request represents appropriate development on the subject property. Do I have a mover and a seconder? Wayne and Frank, sorry. Forget Councillor Shipley and Councillor Bears.
That whole side's loaded up. Look at it.
All in favor? Okay, and that's carried. Thank you. Okay, on to the next thing. We have application for consent B 10/2025, 14628 12 Mile Road. And Marion Francis Ramos Cabral is the Middlesex County Planner, is in attendance to provide an overview of the report, but we actually, let me just go on to read that. No, sure. She's still going to give, oh, okay. Go ahead, please, Marion. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair, and through to the rest of the committee. The purpose of this report is to provide a recommendation to the committee with regard to a request for a severance application for the land at 14628 12 Mile Road. This property is located on the north side of 12 Mile Road, west of the intersection of Adelaide and 12 Mile, and is approximately 50 acres in area and contains a single detached dwelling, attached garage, as well as private servicing in the form of a well and septic system. So this application proposes to sever surplus residents from the farm parcel. In addition to the servicing as well as the dwelling, the proponent is including additional undeveloped land for a new workshop. And the proposed severed parcel appears to be approximately 354 feet of frontage on 12 Mile Road, with an area of approximately 2 acres. The retained farm parcel would maintain approximately 48 acres of farmed land. So there is a municipal drain that crosses this property along the eastern perimeter of the farmland and is regulated by the Conservation Authority as well. This application was circulated to area residents, agencies, as well as staff. Staff did not receive any comments from any area residents or from municipal staff. UTRCA did comment on this application as a result of the White Fitzgerald drain that crosses this property along the eastern perimeter. However, they did not have any objections with this application since the severed parcel as well as the dwelling is significantly set back from that hazard land associated with the drain. Staff reviewed this application against all relevant provincial and local planning policies and note that the PPS only allows for severances in prime agricultural areas that are limited in size and is the minimum size necessary to accommodate the residential use as well as the appropriate sewage and water services. Additionally, we note that this application does technically meet the criteria to qualify for a surplus farm dwelling severance, once the farmland is sold to a farm operation. However, in our initial review, we did determine that the proposed severed lot is not the minimum size required for the function of the dwelling, as it included approximately half an acre to 3/4 of an acre of extra land for new development and a new building. And in my staff report, I do initially recommend that this application be granted, but with a reduced severed parcel size of 1.2 acres to remove that additional land, and also subject to other conditions that are typical of a surplus farm dwelling severance. However, in light of additional information provided by the applicant in relation to the drain and flooding concerns on this property, and the location of the existing septic system and potential contingency area, staff now recommend to defer this application to review the limits of the severed parcel and to account for some of the legal and technical considerations as a result of this flooding. Thank you.
Thank you, Marion. Is there anyone that would like to speak about this? Is this you?
Yes. Oh, God, he's going to speak to it. Okay.
Okay. All righty. Just state your name and address again, please. Thank you.
Okay, so I'm still Charlie Arnett, still living at 14628 12 Mile Road. Thank you very much. That is news to me. So thank you very much. So if I understand correctly, we defer it we look into it some more. Thank you. I think that's fantastic. I did have one question. It's item condition 10 that recognizes the residential use of the severed lot and prohibits any additional residential use. I'm not sure. In hindsight, I wish I had gotten a building permit and started the building ahead of time, but I haven't. So if afterwards, it is deemed that yes, the larger lot size to accommodate the septic system, and yet there's still no building there yet. Does that preclude me from putting the building in afterwards?
Marion, if you'd like to answer, thank you.
Thank you. So with regard to condition number 10 related to the rezoning, to recognize the residential use that would be applicable to that severed parcel, and the prohibition would only be on the farmland. So you wouldn't be able to erect any new residential uses on the farmland itself, but on the severed parcel, you would be able to have your residential use as well as any accessory buildings
Excellent.
associated.
All right, I think that's everything. Thank you so much.
Okay. Yeah, I was just gonna ask you. Yeah, so anybody? Go ahead, Counselor Arts.
Through your Madam Chair, every severance should be on its own, so circumstances are different. Because I'm scared what I'm gonna say next, because the next person's gonna say, oh, we can have that too. But to me, the eastern boundary should be, I think Arnie said you need 10 feet from the end of a weeping bed tile to the property line. The northern boundary should follow the same rules. There's gonna have to be some trees taken out, but really, should they be that close to a weeping bed to start with? And that chunk of land off to the west of the house, it's about 120 feet. And I know everyone says preserve farmland, and I am a farmer, but a little thing like that, for me as a farmer, that costs me money. Like, there is no way in hell I'll ever make anything off that, because it's just too small. There's headlands. So in this case, I'm comfortable with the property line going to it. Because like I said, it's just at 120 feet, it's just, in today's agriculture, a lot of times it's not very. That's my comments. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Okay, one more go.
There's also, there appears to be an abandoned well. And I think it would be a good, like, there's a, and I think it would be a good idea if you capped one of them. The one that's not in use.
Your buttons, you're supposed to be at the table.
Just to answer your question, because it's a good question. The board well was explained to me to be a contingency if we had high sulfur from the new drilled well. So it was said, leave the well for a while till you find out if you're into high sulfur, because then what they would do is pump the water from the drilled well into the bored well, let it off gas, and then you pump from the bored well into the house.
Okay, there's a reason.
So it is, I hear what you're saying. Sooner or later, yes, it has to be decommissioned.
Okay, I take my comment back, because I've known people that have blown it across to get rid of the sulfur smell and then pumped it out. Okay, that explains that. Thank you.
Okay, anyone else? Okay, my turn. I have some questions. So this is Marion, right? Yeah, this is Marion. So, as I understand it, it's being deferred, and I assumed that it was being deferred because of the condition of the size. But that's because that's one of my things is, and I'm surprised Counselor Arts, at the end of the day, it's a 2 acre size, and your condition is to limit it to 1.25. So in my notes here, you've got the condition on the side. One small question that I had was about the hydro wire. If it was severed off at that tree line and not the space to the left there, would they have to move the hydro wire to be in their own property line?
Yes, and through you to the rest of the committee, I believe that typically they are adjusted so that it is wholly located within the severed parcel.
And is it okay to ask why the deferral?
Yes, absolutely. So the deferral, specifically again, like you had mentioned, it is partly related to size, but partly not. So we want to look at the technical aspects and the legal ramifications of some of the flooding concerns that Mr. Arnott had identified to us, as well as what Councillor Arts had mentioned with regard to the setbacks from the septic bed and the septic system. We want to make sure that all of that is accounted for, and with that, in relation to the size, if, for example, we can't account for a contingency area within that smaller or reduced farm parcel and we do need the additional land, then therefore we can kind of review it and look at that in that case.
Okay, thank you, Marion. Okay, anybody else? Last call? All right, so then today we have an alternate motion then that file number B10 2025 be deferred to the November 19th, 2025 Committee of Adjustments meeting. If I could have a mover and a seconder, Councillor Shipley and Councillor Coles, all in favor? Okay, and that is carried. Okay, so let me get myself sorted out here. Okay, next we have 5.4 application for consent B12 2025 for 14573 9 Mile Road, and Dan Fitzgerald, the manager of planning for Middlesex County, is in attendance to provide an overview of the planning report. If you'd like to go ahead, please, Dan. Thank you.
Through the chair, thanks members of the committee. So application for consent B12 2025 is an application for a requested surplus dwelling farm severance for a property that's located at 14573 9 Mile Road. So in this case, the applicant proposes to sever a parcel with a frontage of approximately 35.4 meters on 9 Mile and an area of approximately 1.48 acres. The retained farmland would maintain a broken frontage of approximately 878 meters on 9 Mile and an area of 153 acres. The applicant is proposing to maintain a dwelling, the garage, as well as the associated services on the severed parcel. The remnant parcel would be maintained as farmland in crop production, and I would note would also maintain a second existing residence to the west. So the lands are generally surrounded by agricultural lands that are primarily in crop production. It's noted that the lands currently, again, do maintain two separate residences. One that's along the eastern boundary with frontage on 9 Mile Road, as in the second further west along 9 Mile, which is subject to this particular consent application. So I have reviewed the proposed minor variance against the Planning Act tests. I am satisfied that a farm consolidation is occurring in this particular instance. The house is considered habitable. It was constructed prior to 1999, and it does maintain its own access. As well, the severed lands would be limited to the residential use, as well as the associated services in this case. The increase in size is essentially based on the setback of the house, and really they're not including additional lands that could be subject to agricultural crop production in this case. I would note that I have included the standard conditions as noted by our departments in circulation, and we did not receive any additional comments from the public during our Planning Act circulation as well. So as a result of the severance, the applicant would be required to rezone the severed parcel. Well, we typically ask for the remnants lands to be rezoned as well. In this instance, staff are not recommending the retained lands to be rezoned to an agricultural A3, no residence zone, as this land would maintain an existing residence. And just to note to the committee, if we were to rezone it to an A3, it would make the house legal non-conforming, which means any future changes they make to the house, they would be subject to a future minor variance application. So that's why in this case, we're not recommending the remnant parcel be rezoned to A3. So as noted in the report, I am satisfied that the proposal does meet all requirements of the provincial planning statement, the county's official plan, as well as the Middlesex Center's official plan. I am recommending approval of consent file B12 2025, again, subject to the conditions as outlined in the planning report. Thank you.
Thank you, Dan. Is there anyone that wants to speak about that? Would you like to come up? We'll be gentle. You want to just push the button when you're ready and state your name and address, please.
Pete McClary, my address 21741 Richmond Street. I am representing my wife, and I have a letter of she's letting me do this today. She had other commitments. So I was quite happy with this, but I wanted to address the 1.4 acres. We've got it cut right back. I don't know whether you have access to that map. We've got it cut back. All these trees are now gone, and the well is in the very back corner. It's this front part that makes the acreage, and there's nothing I can do about it. So that's about the only thing I had to say.
Excellent. Thank you very much. Okay, any members of the committee want to speak? No? Okay, well, I'll have a turn. So 5.4. Dan, you did, to you, Dan, you did explain it well, but I just want to ask about, so the existing house on the larger parcel, what happens in the future if they want to build a new house? You know, like typically we say with no residents. I get you're not changing it to say with no residents. So does that mean the way that it stays right now, they could they could rip it down, build a new house, they could do whatever they want? Is that the way that it is?
So through the chair, in theory, yes, because they would maintain the permission to have a single detached residence on the property. You could, in theory, renovate, remove, and replace the existing dwelling, which would really be no different than when we look at it from an impact perspective. What's the impact at the end of the day? There's already a residence there. They would maintain that right in the future.
Thank you. I just wanted to clarify, not that I have a problem with it, or the 1.48. I think you made your point too about how far in you are. I'm fine with that. Okay, so nobody has anything else to add. So then, where are we here? So we have a motion before us that it's big. Okay, that consent application B12 2025 filed by McClary Carmichael Farming Corporation or order to sever a residential surplus to a farm operation as a result of consolidation from a lot legally described as part of lots 14 and 15, concession 8, London, in the municipality of Middlesex Center, county of Middlesex, and known municipally as 14573 9 Mile Road, be granted subject to the following 14 conditions. And further, that the reason for granting the consent application B12 2025 include the proposal is consistent with the provincial planning statement. The proposal conforms to the County of Middlesex official plan and the Middlesex Center official plan. And subject to the conditions, the proposal would comply with the Middlesex Center comprehensive zoning bylaw. And I have a mover and a seconder. Councillor Beers and Councillor Shipley. All in favor? And that is carried. Okay, and next up, we have a motion that correspondence item, does anyone have any, does anyone want to discuss any of the correspondence? Okay, in that case, we have a motion that correspondence items 6.1 through 6.6 be received as information. We have a mover and Councillor Coles and Councillor Shipley. All in favor? Okay. Next, is there any other business the committee would like to discuss? None. So we carry on to adjournment, that the Committee of Adjustments for the Municipality of Middlesex Center adjourns the October 15th, 2025 committee meeting at 4:29. Councillor Coles, Councillor Beers, all in favor? And that's carried. Thank you, everyone.